Welcome to the first year academic experience virtual event. This is our second of our Welcome to the Coop series for admitted students. So of course, before I get rolling too far, congratulations are in order. Again, congratulations on your acceptance to the class of 2025. This is a very impressive class. You should be very proud of your achievements through some exceptionally challenging times. And an especially challenging year to go through the college search and application process. So go ahead, brush the dirt off your shoulders a little bit and settle in. Again, my name is Jason Clem. I'm an assistant director of admissions for Trinity. Just about 3 years in with my tenure here. I recruit out of Massachusetts, Connecticut, and the Midwest. And again, very, very excited to have you all here. A few quick logistical items. We are going to leave time at the end for questions, but please feel free to type in the chat or the Q&A feature your questions. I'm going to be monitoring them all night long. We'll try to respond to some as we go. I might also indicate that we're going to circle back to those at the end. So again, we are going to save time at the end. So please feel free to use that question and answer feature in Zoom to type out your questions. Without further ado, I'm going to pass it off to my colleague, Day.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Day Whaley. I am an admissions counselor here at the college. I recruit out of New York, so upstate and Western New York, including the Bronx and Staten Island. I also recruit out of the Southern Shore of Massachusetts, Nebraska, and New Jersey, so Northern and Central New Jersey. Those are my territories. I am also an alumna of the college. I graduated with the class of 2020. So if you have any specific questions about the student experience, I can also give an additional perspective there. But from here, I believe we'll hand it over to our panelists and let them introduce themselves as well.
All right, I think I'm up first. Welcome everybody. I'm absolutely delighted to join with you tonight and your family and any supporters that are joining with you as well tonight to help teach you a little bit about Trinity and hopefully keep your excitement up about joining us. My name is Professor Tennyson O'Donnell, and if my name or these round glasses and sweater doesn't tell you anything, I'm in the English department. It's our uniform. Everybody has to wear it. And I'm also the director of the Alan K. Smith Center for Writing and Rhetoric. And I play a small role in the Dean's office as a faculty director of academic outcomes. And I am actually sitting in tonight for the director of the first year program who couldn't join with us, but I am going to share the things about the first year program that she would have brought, and her contact information will be there. And she and I used to co-direct this program, so very familiar with it and happy to join you tonight.
Go ahead, Lisa. I think you're next.
I thought Amelia was next. Oh. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Congratulations again on being accepted to Trinity College. My name is Lisa Foster. I am a faculty member in the biology department. I've actually been at Trinity this is my 25th academic year at Trinity. And I'm here tonight in my capacity as the director for the Center of Academic Advising. The Center for Academic Advising is only about 3 years old at Trinity, and we developed this as a way to help support students, give you an extra layer of support when it comes to academic advising. All of the faculty at Trinity do the advising, but the center is here to also help with that. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have about Academic Advising Center or biology department questions or questions about courses and academics in general.
Awesome, I think I'm next. Hi, everybody. Just going to second it. Congratulations. My name is Amelia Huba. I'm a junior at Trinity right now. I'm majoring in engineering, science, and international studies with a minor in German. And I'm here on the panel tonight in my capacity as a first-year mentor for the first-year seminar programs, which we'll talk about more later on tonight.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lori Klappus, and I manage the Student Accessibility Resource Center at Trinity. The center works with students who need disability accommodations, including academic accommodations, housing, and meal plan. So I've worked at Trinity for about 15 years, and I'm really excited to work with the incoming class, and congratulations to everyone.
Thank you, everyone. So clearly you're going to learn all about some of the amazing resources that are here in place at Trinity to support you, especially during your first year, during this big transition period. So again, you've heard from everyone. To go a little bit more in depth about the first year seminar and Gateway program. Tennyson, back to you.
Thank you. I want to share some information with everybody tonight about the first year program, and let you know that all first semester students at Trinity take some kind of a first year seminar. If you're in a gateway, it'll be designated a seminar, and otherwise you'll get to choose your seminar topic at the start of the summer from a range of potential topics that we'll share with you. The roster of choices is actually different every year because faculty in disciplines all across the campus rotate through teaching them. And you'll have a chance to list some that you're interested in and be enrolled in one of them. Seminars are required, but they don't count toward majors or gen ed requirements. So you can simply choose a subject that you're curious about. Seminars are different from other classes in the sense that their goal is to not only cover a particular set of academic content, but to introduce you to academics to the extent that it is part of the social life at the college. It enculturates you into the activities of reading and writing and research as a student at Trinity College. One of the best things about the seminar is that you'll become part of a community of learners. There's only about 15 students in each class, and it'll be kind of like your first campus family. You'll get to know your fellow seminar students very well, and they'll become your companions as you navigate the academic and social elements of your first semester at Trinity College. You'll also get to know your seminar professor very well. That seminar professor will actually be your academic advisor until you declare your major. At Trinity, you have up until the second semester of your sophomore year to declare your major. So that first year seminar advisor will be your primary advisor along that time of your at Trinity. You'll also have a mentor, which is an older student, usually a sophomore, junior, who attends all your classes. And actually you'll meet one of those mentors here in a moment. You might share a meal outside of class as a seminar, or even go on a short trip together. Maybe just take a walk into Hartford. It's a much different kind of experience than a regular class. Seminars often meet outside of class hours and do various events together, either just as a seminar or with a couple of seminars joining together. The learning goals for all the seminars are to teach you to be intellectually curious, to read deeply and critically, to write well, to develop effective research skills, to communicate effectively and collaboratively, and to cultivate academic habits of mind, as well as to embrace diversity. And we believe that you can achieve these goals in a seminar by reading and writing and talking together about a particular subject. So finally, seminars meet for the first time a few days before regular classes do, actually during orientation. You'll meet classmates, you'll meet your mentor, you'll meet that professor of the class who will also be your advisor, and they'll help you to finalize your schedule. And then you'll begin that interesting and continuing, hopefully, long-term conversation with all of them. And it's a super exciting program to be a part of. So I'll just leave it there.
Awesome. So I will talk a little bit about my experience as a first year in these seminars, and then I'll talk about being a first year mentor. So I actually chose to get involved with a gateway. I got an email from a few different gateways after I accepted Trinity, encouraging me to apply to them. And while I didn't fully comprehend the difference between a gateway and a first year seminar as I was applying, it came to be very clear once I got on campus. So the gateways are a set of either 4 to 6 classes that will be held in a specific sort of topic area. So there's one for science called ISP. There's one for interarts for like theater and dance people, as well as artists. The one I chose to participate in was the Humanities Gateway, although it also applied to the Community Action Gateway. And that was definitely one of the best choices I could have made. My current roommate is somebody that I met in my first year seminar within this gateway. She's a lovely person, and being able to take classes in just such like a fascinating sort of array of topics within things that I wasn't sure if I would be able to, take them on my own, as I have two majors, but neither of which sort of are involved with humanities. So being able to be involved with the Gateway certainly like opened the doors for me to be able to explore this academic interest as well. And through the Gateways, as they are 2 or 3 semesters, you'll definitely be a bit more involved in like outside of class experiences. In my first semester, the Humanities Gateway traveled to the Met in New York, and we took like a guided tour looking at specific pieces of art that we'd been learning about in class, which was really cool. And then in the spring semester of my first year, we went to an abbey to see how like nuns were living and how all of these things that we'd sort of been learning about were now translating into the modern day, and how the practices are really different, but some of like the spiritual stuff is the same. It was really fascinating. And granted, my first year seminar, as I had 2 classes from the Gateway in my first semester, and they just alternate between which one of them is designated your seminar. So my first year seminar was biblical studies, and I am not, religious all that much. I hadn't read the Bible before, so I was really nervous that it was going to be like really high level Bible study, and it was not anything like that. It was with Professor Hornung, and I would again really recommend this class. He took the Bible from sort of a historical perspective, explaining when it was written and the types of people who were involved in like the editing and drafting of it. And we would look at passages not for their spiritual value, but for like the historical context of it. So it was an absolutely fascinating class, and I really haven't enjoyed, having that experience and being able to learn these things. So my, as Tennyson said, or Professor O'Donnell said, the professor for your first year seminar will be your advisor until you declare your major. I declared my majors in sophomore fall, but until then I had a religion professor advising me for engineering, which was really interesting. But I think no matter who your first year advisor is, they all try their very hardest to make sure that you're in classes that are actually going to work for you and that you're excited about, which is super helpful. So last semester, I was lucky enough to be a first year mentor. So those are the students who are in your class, who are basically meant to help guide you through not only the academic parts, writing, researching, helping you sort of plan out your study hours and things like that, but also like the more mundane parts of college, like how to work the laundry, how to do printing, what's good to eat in the different dining halls, all sorts of different things like that. So there's sort of like a built-in like friend and resource for being able to navigate Trinity. And it is a super new experience, especially with the pandemic going on. I found that, all of the first year students I was able to mentor this year were incredibly like eager to still be involved in the campus community, despite being, stuck on Zoom for most of the part of it. But it was definitely a great experience. And it was the first year seminar that I mentored for was called Predictive Fiction. And it's not a class I would have been able to take on my own or would have fallen in my majors, but it was super interesting subject matter. So I would definitely say that while the first year seminar can be any class, it will undoubtedly have a huge experience on your Trinity journey.
Well, as both Amelia and Tennyson have mentioned, the faculty member who teaches your first year seminar will be your academic advisor. And that person remains your academic advisor until you declare your major. We also have on campus the Center for Academic Advising, which is staffed by faculty. So there are 5 faculty, so people who are regular faculty members who teach courses, who occasionally teach first year seminars. Faculty sign on to be part of the Center for Academic Advising and play a role called their advising fellows. And they are an extra support for students who maybe are in a religion seminar and they're interested in majoring in engineering. We make sure that the faculty that are in the advising center cover all the different disciplines. And we're just there as a resource for students if, when they go to their official academic advisor, maybe they need a different perspective or they'd like to hear from somebody else who's in a discipline that's closer to what they intend to major in. And we also provide some workshops for students before class selection time rolls around, how to think about selecting your classes. We leave it to the first year mentors to walk students through the mechanics of actually selecting the classes, but we're really, as faculty, we have a really good perspective on helping students think about what classes they might want to take. And we do those in group workshops so that you can hear what some of your peers might also be thinking. So the center is available for anybody to stop in and make an appointment. It's just there, I want to emphasize, it's as an extra resource. Your first go-to person should always be your academic advisor who teaches your seminar, but you have this other group of people out there who you can feel comfortable going to with any questions you have.
Again, okay, so I'm here to represent the Student Accessibility Center. We want you to know that if you are a student who uses accommodations in high school, that we make it easy for you to apply for accommodations at Trinity, and we have a whole area to support you. I also want you to know that your professors are going to be incredibly accommodating. So rest assured, there's lots of support for you. We handle accommodations for anything that is related to a medical condition. It could be short or long term, learning disabilities. The most common accommodations that we see are extended time on tests and quizzes. Also, a few students have reduced distraction testing setting. So those are the most common accommodations we see. We have a fantastic testing center. It's a beautiful space where students can come and take their exams with accommodations. So if you're planning on applying for accommodations, one thing that's important to note is that your high school accommodations are not automatically transferred to college. So you do need to request accommodations, and we have it's a very quick online application that you will have to complete, and you do have to provide documentation in support of your request. It's pretty painless, and I'm here to help you every step of the way. So we do ask that students who are going to be asking for accommodations, we ask for you to come forward and request by May 31st. And you may not have your application completely done, but at least let us know that you're going to be asking for accommodations so we know to work with you. Lots of information's available on the website. It's trincall.edu/SARC, which is SARC, which stands for the Student Accessibility Resource Center. And just let me know, email me, call me. We can set up a time to talk whenever it works for you, and I'll explain more. So thank you so much, everyone, and congratulations again.
All right, well, I think I know Lori was just sharing her info, but I'm actually going to take this opportunity to just put all of our contact info up on this screen. So if you need that info, please go ahead, jot it down, take a screenshot, take a pic, whatever is easiest for you. I'll leave that up for a few minutes. But I do want to make this a time for questions and answers. We are here for you. I've been answering a few questions in the chat. I really want to make this a time where you all can, get the info you're looking to get. Please don't leave this session with questions about the first year experience. One of the questions that I know I meant to circle back to was specifically about support for students with 504 plans. Lori, I know you talked a little bit about the resources, but would you mind speaking a little bit more to that?
Yes, hi. So the support, that's what my department does. So it also, depends on what kind of accommodations you need. We can sort through all of that. So I think the best way for me to answer your question is for us to just talk separately, and let's figure out what you need and what we can offer you. Most of the time, high school accommodations will be mirrored in college. There's a few accommodations that you won't be able to get at the college level, but the majority, yes, it will look pretty similar. So let's just talk. Whomever has that question, send me an email or call me.
I saw another one that came in on the chat, and I wonder, Tennyson, if you might be able to speak to it, and Amelia, possibly you as well. Do students get the first year seminar of their choice, and how does that selection process go?
Sure, I can take that. That's a great question. You will receive a list of all of the first year seminars that are offered, and there's a lot of them, and they run the gamut from all different types of courses. So I'll just read off a few of them that we had this last year. So if you're into poetry, there's one called The Plot Thickens, Tension and Immediacy in Fiction, but maybe you're into not poetry, so you might do one called Ideation and Entrepreneurship, or another one was China's Forbidden City, Art and Architecture in Beijing. And then finally, there's Physics and Science Fiction. So they run the gamut, and we ask you to look at all of them, and you provide us a short list of the ones that you would like, and we'll make sure that you get one of those from the short list.
Thank you, Tennyson. Another one that maybe, I guess a few of you could speak on, but what are the general education requirements at Trinity? So of course we refer to them at Trinity as distribution requirements, but I'm sure some of you can talk a little bit about that and how you advise students to ensure they're satisfying those courses throughout their time at Trinity.
I'll start with that one, since that's sort of in the academic advising realm. So all students are required to take the set of general education requirements. There are, and my colleagues can correct me if I may, 5 general education requirements. All students have to take a course in numeric and symbolic reasoning. And while that's traditionally thought of as a math class, there's some really interesting ways to fulfill that requirement. There's a course in the philosophy department on logic that fulfills the numeric and symbolic reasoning requirement. All students also have to take an art requirement, and we have music classes, we have studio arts, we have theater arts, we have music. All creative writing also fulfills the arts requirements. There's lots of ways to do that requirement. There's a social sciences requirement. So everybody has to take at least one course in a social science, like psychology, sociology, anthropology, economics, something like that, political science. There's the natural sciences. That would be your biology, chemistry, physics, or natural science courses. And I will say in the natural sciences, we make sure that we teach courses that are designated for non-majors. And we don't have a laboratory requirement for the natural sciences at Trinity. So these are just non-lab courses that are designed for students who don't intend to major in the sciences. We also then have a global engagement requirement. So all students are required to take a course that provides the opportunity for them to engage in different cultures and different parts of the world. There's many different ways to fulfill that. Some standard courses like in the history department or in political sciences where you're studying other parts of the world. But even in the sciences, last semester, I happened to teach a course entitled The Biology of Infectious Disease. And it was a good semester to be teaching that course last spring. And that course fills the global distribution requirement, the global engagement, because we talk about diseases and how they spread through different parts of the world. So those are and then there's also one other distribution requirement, general education requirement, is the second language requirement. And there's many different ways to fulfill the second language requirement. And there's a placement task that you might even be able to use to place out of it. Does anyone want to add to Amelia? Did I forget anything? So it's easy to keep track of those because on your when you have access to your portal, the Trinity portal, which you've had access to through the starting out, but you'll see at the top of your transcript, all of the general education requirements are listed at the top of your transcript. And it'll say that it's required, and that tends to be in red ink, in red font, it'll say required. And then once you complete it, in the semester that you have completed that requirement, that gets noted right on your advising transcript. So anytime you look at your own transcript, you can see which general education requirements you have met and what's still pending.
Another good question coming in that I think, again, I'll let anyone jump in who feels inclined to respond. What kind of resources help new students become familiar with navigating the greater Hartford community?
I can talk about this one. My favorite program when I was a first year was the Downtown Fridays, which were held by the Transition Fellows. And this was an opportunity to basically on every Friday you would go off campus. You'd go to a restaurant, a show, a movie, go to an art museum. We would do Six Flags once a year. All of these really fascinating things, and through that process they would teach you how to use the buses, as you get a free bus pass every year as a Trinity student, and that was absolutely the most helpful thing that could probably have happened. I come from a really small town in the country, so I had no idea how to use the bus system, and I would have been too scared to go exploring on my own. But being able to go out and experience all of these really wonderful places in Hartford under Trinity's umbrella made me a lot more comfortable with pursuing other opportunities for volunteering and things like that in the greater Hartford area.
It's a great answer. I would also add to that we recently opened an Office of Community Learning at Trinity, and it's part of the Center for Hartford Engagement and Research, or SHARE for some of maybe the old timers or the parents that are listening. That acronym might stick out for you a little bit more. But CHER is Center for Hartford Engagement and Research. And that's their job and purpose, is to create these collaborations for Trinity students and staff and faculty, and then the local organizations in the metropolis that we call Hartford. So we really try to take advantage of the fact that we live in a city center. There's at least around 20 community learning courses every semester, where there's some sort of community learning component, where it might range just from making observations to actually helping a group communicate and write things and build things. And it's really quite a neat program that we have going on.
And I want to, I guess, press a little bit more on that question. There's been a few questions about how we've helped students integrate during the pandemic. I'm wondering if anyone can speak to some of the programs we had in place this year to really help students with that transition during an often socially distanced period. Maybe some of the virtual programs that we offered.
Well, I wouldn't say anything except to begin by saying it was challenging, as anybody might imagine. But the Office of Community Learning and the SHARE program continued to match courses with groups that wanted help and support. So we continued to have courses that had community learning components. And you know, in my own department, we offered quite a few. Where in the rhetoric and writing program, where the courses that are learning about digital writing and writing, you know, in the workplace type of things, about the combination of visual and, you know, alphabetic literacies together, helping different for-profit and non-for-profit groups. One in particular was a gay bar that was looking to do some advertising and coming out of, you know, Corona with the loosening of the requirements. And so that the class worked with that group. And so they still happened. We still, you know, we didn't forget about each other. Hartford didn't forget about Trinity, and Trinity didn't forget about Hartford.
I'm gonna summarize this next one a little bit, but I think it really has to do with double majoring. Wondering if students that major in theater and dance can double major in English writing or minor in the same. Not quite following I think some of the abbreviations, but what's the process to double major? How do students manage that workload? How do you prepare students to juggle some, you know, potentially a heavier workload to achieve some of those goals?
I actually have a one of my close friends is double majoring in theater and dance and English. So I find that she is definitely exceptionally busy in terms of like writing, but she also likes to participate in the shows that are going on at Trinity. So it is absolutely possible. And it's obviously going to be, you know, a moderate workload. It is. We are an academically challenging school, but as long as you sort of go into it prepared and think about trying to plan out your classes in advance, so that if you're taking like a really hard, or you know, a class that's going to be really writing heavy in one semester, you might want to take two in that semester. So being able to plan out your classes in advance is definitely something that I would recommend if you're considering taking two majors. And I don't think that theater and dance is a super heavy workload, like in comparison to some of the other majors. And I don't know about private voice lessons, but like through the major, but I do know that they are an option on campus.
I'll say in general with double majoring, or actually I had a student in, she's now a senior. She was in my first year seminar when she was a freshman, and she was the mentor for the first year seminar that I taught this past fall. She's a triple major. And that started out just by, she wasn't quite sure what she wanted to do when she got to Trinity. She was interested in the sciences, couldn't decide between biology and neuroscience. So she kind of did the double major. But then she took a course in the English department when she was a freshman, and she just kind of fell in love with some of those classes, and she kept taking these English classes, and she's now going to graduate in May with a triple major in biology, neuroscience, and English. And because you need, we just recently changed the course requirements to 34.5 credits to graduate. And at Trinity, one course is 1 credit, whereas other schools do it by credit hours, where of course a lot of people think of courses as being 3 credits. At Trinity, one course is 1 credit. So you need 34.5 credits to graduate. Most majors are only 8 to 10 credits. And then we have these 5 to 7 with the second language general education requirements. And you have to remember, some of your gen ed requirements are going to be fulfilled through your major. So there's a lot of extra credits there that you need to get to the 34.5 in order to earn your bachelor's degree. And that's how students wind up with double and triple majors, because they have to take that number of courses anyway. And then they just find the courses that they're interested in, and they package them into double majors or major in a couple of minors or anything like that. So it requires lots of planning. Amelia is certainly right there, and you have to map it out, but you have the room in the number of courses that you need to take anyway to graduate to explore all of your different interests.
I would add too that while it is quite common for students to double major, maybe even more common is that a major and minor, and that way it still preserves your choice and a lot of extra different courses that you can take, but still adds up to something. So a couple of really popular minors on the campus right now are the legal studies minors. My own minor is the writing and rhetoric and media studies minor, Hispanic studies minor, formal organizations minor. So that's another thing you could do too, is maybe explore an area that's kind of a hobby area of interest for you as a minor. That way it still adds up to something tangible, but you can maybe put more of your overall focus into that major.
Another popular question: study abroad, or as we say at Trinity, study away. Who wants to tackle the how do you study away, and how do you go about that process?
Well, that's a tough one right now. Maybe somebody else can say more than I'm going to say, but right now what we're telling our students that are on campus right now is let's plan to study abroad in the fall. If that really works out, great, everybody's happy. We want our students to have those opportunities. And we also recently changed our requirements in a way to make sure that people who study abroad, if you're receiving financial aid, that covers you as well when you study abroad. So it really kind of makes it more equal for people. But I think, I'm not sure we can say anything more specific than we're planning for it. Students that are on campus now and that we're meeting with and advising appointments for the fall, we are planning for it, but we don't have control too much over world events right now.
And I'll also just add for study away that I often hear, chair of the biology department as well as director for the Center of Academic Advising. I also often hear students say, well, I can't study away if I'm a science major or if I'm pre-med. And that is not true at all. We have many biology majors and majors in all the sciences are able to study away. There are places where students can go and get courses towards their major, but also it's an opportunity. We have an art requirement at Trinity. So yeah, go to the Rome campus and take, Renaissance art in Rome. It's a nice way to do some of those general education requirements, perhaps. But no matter what your major is, there is a way for all students to be able to study away.
Absolutely. And I would add too, student athletes, that's another concern too. And it's absolutely available to you. About 30% of our students are student athletes. So there's a good chunk of students there. I'm actually the liaison to the football team and the men's basketball team. We have academic liaisons that are faculty members to each one of the teams to help them along with a lot of different things on that academic side. So it's definitely possible.
Yeah, I actually studied abroad during my undergraduate experience at Trinity, and it was by far one of the most transformational experiences that I had. I actually did study abroad at Trinity College's Rome campus, so what Lisa had mentioned. And as an American Studies major, it was an opportunity for me to take some of those general education requirements. So that secondary language requirement, I was able to take there. And surprisingly, I actually got my science requirement taken over there as well. I took a class called art conservation. And so we learned about the sciences behind preserving art. And so it truly is a great experience. I know that right now, some students had a virtual study away experience. And so we've done our best to be able to make the experience work for the students that are desiring it.
Yeah, and I'd also just love to add that we have, pretending it's going to be a normal year next year, we have study away programs that are in like the fall and the spring. You can do a year-long program, you can do a summer program, or a program in what we call a J term, which is our winter break. If you do a program within a semester or a year, then your financial aid will carry over, so you won't have to like reapply at the university. And like Ms. Foster was saying, there are like specific programs for like STEM majors and econ majors and things like that, so that you don't have to necessarily arrange it around taking your distribution requirements while you're away. You can still study within your major without like worrying about losing time or anything like that, which was an absolute huge draw for me. Even though I wasn't 100% sure that I wanted to do engineering when I came to Trinity, the possibility, I'd been to other schools that said, no, you can absolutely not study away as an engineering student, or you'll take like 6 years to graduate. And I didn't want that. So I think Trinity does a really wonderful job of ensuring that everybody who wants to study away can. And they also, like, we call it study away because we have some programs within the United States as well. So definitely something worth looking into. I think the percentage is like 60% of students will study away at some point during their time at Trinity. So it is absolutely a great opportunity that I would highly encourage you look into.
Jason, do you mind if I talk a little bit about first year programs and gateways again? I saw a lot of those questions come up in the chat. Is that okay?
That was the next one I was going to bring up. Tennyson, please do.
Okay, great. I'm so sorry. Jump in the line here. So if I can make this maybe as simple as possible, a first year seminar is only one class and everyone takes it in the fall. There's really no, I mean, we have a few in the spring, but really everybody just takes it in the fall. And it's one class. It's an enculturation into how to be a student. Like, how should we read critically? How do we write? How do we research? How do we use the services, the writing center, the math center, the librarians, the research assistants? It's really an enculturation into being a successful student at Trinity College, as well as all those nuts and bolts too, like where are the buildings, how to register for classes, really utilizing all your resources on campus to be successful, but it's just one class. A gateway program is 2 or 3 classes that you take once a semester. So it's easily 2 semesters, some are 3. And it's a string of courses that try to keep a certain kind of thread or idea in front of a student, because it's an idea or a topic or area of interest that those students are drawn to. And if you determine now, because I know those deadlines are looming where they're saying, hey, do you want to be part of this gateway? Let us know. If you determine what that is now, that will count in the place of your first year seminar in the fall. So you would not take a first year seminar, just take that gateway, and then you would stay in it. And there's no, repercussion if you drop out as you started the gateway. But I really don't ever see that, because the students who enter in a gateway are just thrilled by the course that they're taking and the professors that they meet with. So just really, again, to reiterate, one course for first year seminar, 3 or even 4 courses for the gateway, spread out over 1 per semester. And if you just go to Google first year seminar and TRINCOLL, TRRNCOLL, that will go right to the first year seminar page and will tell you all about the different gateways and the different first year seminars.
And Professor O'Donnell, I saw a question in the chat that was asking whether the list of potential first year seminars would be available before the deadline to apply for the gateways happens. Could you talk to that a little bit?
Yeah, I don't think that would be the case. The reason is that we pushed off our registration process late this semester because we were really trying to wait and see what fall was going to look like. So the gateway invitations have already gone out, and that deadline is coming up now, where it might have coincided in the past with choosing first year seminars and stuff. We're just now have the green light to start saying, we are teaching first year seminars in the fall, and which faculty are going to teach them. And everybody, kind of like a student, a faculty has to build their schedule, if you will, for that school year. So we're just doing that, and that won't happen until probably, for students, it will be in May before they start seeing everything in the first week of May. I think that was kind of the answer to the question there.
And applying for a gateway doesn't automatically mean that that's the only option you have, right? You can still choose to just do a first year seminar.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we are hoping you stay committed to that so we can put everybody in the right spot. But yes, if you get going along and you're like, well, I've actually changed my mind, that's fine. We can put you in the first year seminar. First year seminar is very small. They're usually 12 to 14 students, and gateways the same way. I saw a question in the chat about the size of classes. My own department, every single class that we offer, there's 19 classes. They're all capped at 15 students. So The faculty to student ratio here is very small. There are some other classes that there's 28 and 38 students in a class, but you're not going to be walking into very many classes that are, auditorium size at Trinity. Yeah. And I did see a question too about in-person classes in the fall. Everybody that's going to college, wants to be in person. Just by way of reference, I think the short answer is yes, but I'm a professor, so I have to give a long answer. The short answer is yes, we are trying to be as in person as possible in the fall. We have about 2,100 students at Trinity. In fall semester, we had about 1,700 in person. And this semester, we have a little under that, it's closer to 1,600, but the majority of our classes are in person. And we will have some online or even hybrid in the fall, both to accommodate both student, comfort levels as well as faculty members, but the majority will be in person is our plan.
This has all been super helpful. Thanks for bouncing around, tackling on a lot of these repeat questions. Lisa, I have one that I think you're going to be better equipped to answer. I know you've talked a lot about the support that the Center for Academic Advising offers, but maybe could you go in a little bit more detail, specifically how you set students up to build out their schedules, maybe what time a year, typically over the summer that this happens?
So during the summer, the students will be asked to send in their course selections. And the Center for Academic Advising, before that deadline for sending in their course selections, we're going to hold some workshops. And we had a meeting today the dates that we're going to have these workshops will be available very soon. But we'll hold workshops for students who want to talk with one of the advising fellows about how to go about building their schedule, what kind of courses should they include, what things should they keep in mind. So we'll have group sessions throughout the summer. And then we also provide the opportunity for students to set up appointments with somebody in the Center for Academic Advising to have a one-on-one discussion about any particular needs or questions that they have. So we'll do that before the course selection form is due, so that students have the opportunity to talk to a faculty advisor before they have to submit their selections. Details for the dates of those workshops will be posted on the Center for Academic Advising website, and we'll share it with the admissions office so that you guys can circulate that as well.
Excellent, thank you. Another question I'm seeing is a little bit more about pre-orientation programs, and I'm sure that we will talk more about these in, I can guarantee we'll talk more about these in future Welcome to the COOP sessions, but anyone feeling especially equipped to talk a little bit about just a quick overview of some of the pre-orientation programs and how those help students transition to both Hartford and campus?
Yeah, I can definitely talk about those a little bit. I ended up doing 2 pre-orientation programs before I got to Trinity. So obviously they are in the weeks before the actual orientation week happens. A huge variety of different categories. I chose to do Venture, which is like a women's leadership conference, where it had a bunch of different workshops. It had faculty, alumni, and like current students talking to the first years, and just giving advice, on being a woman in the world and things like that. And also at Trinity College, and all sorts of really wonderful things that ended up getting me really close with a lot of the other students who were in the program with me. So I would definitely recommend that to any female or non-binary students who are interested in that sort of thing. And then I also participated in Quest, which I believe is the one that was mentioned in the chat. It's the outdoor wilderness hiking thing. I'd never gone backpacking before, so it was definitely a new experience, but it's definitely really fun to be sort of just out backpacking without your phone with a bunch of complete strangers. Even though it doesn't quite sound like it, it's a wonderful bonding experience. And as far as I know, the leader of the Quest program, his name is Kevin Johnson, and he has been holding hikes, I think twice a month, just in Connecticut, so that they provide transportation and you can sign up and go for things like that. So given how active he's been in trying to make sure that we can all still safely explore the nature of Connecticut, even this semester, I would really hope that he is going to try and figure out something so that Quest can still happen. And then there are other pre-orientation programs specifically for like first generation students, international students, as well as ones called like Bantam Beginnings, which is sort of like an umbrella term for these ones that are more dedicated to exploring Hartford, exploring Trinity. I know one of them is like a community action thing, so you'll go out and volunteer in different organizations in Hartford the week before orientation. And another one of them, I believe, was like a bike tour of the city. So that also was one that I heard really good things about. So there's a variety of different pre-orientation programs, and I would definitely recommend considering them, as they are just another way for you to get sort of acclimated to the campus and get to know more people, and definitely bond with them, especially if you're out hiking with them.
Yeah, and I can even add that I know more than half of incoming students will participate in at least one of these pre-orientation programs. The most popular typically being Bantam Beginnings, that rolls right into orientation. So highly encouraged, recommended, a great way to get a little more familiar with, of course, the capital city of Connecticut, Hartford. But again, of course, understanding some of the resources that are available on campus, who to go to, and of course, making friends before you even begin classes. I'll actually take the next next question as well. I saw when will students hear back if they have been admitted into a gateway program? I believe the deadline to submit your applications is April 12th for I believe all of the gateway programs, and typically you will know between a week to 2 weeks later. So certainly before the May 1 deadline, you will have your response. I believe it is usually around April 19th or the week of April 19th where you will hear a response as to whether or not you've been admitted to a gateway program. I know we talked a little bit about it, but I've seen a repeat question of what type of support do we have for student athletes? So Tennis, I know you mentioned that you are a liaison for the football team and the basketball team. Any more details about specifically, and there's been some question about tutoring as well as support for specifically student athletes on campus?
Absolutely, absolutely. So some of the teams do have tutoring sort of embedded in their study hall program. I mean, no surprise, since I'm associated with football and men's basketball, that both of those programs do have tutors, a part of their tutoring, their study hall hours that they do. But I would say that by and large, while almost all of the teams offer study hall hours, the ways that student athletes in particular access academic support is the same way other students do. And I think any student athletes coming into Trinity really need to know that we take the student-athlete very seriously. You know, that you come here as a D3 student because you want to be a student first and also an athlete. And students at Trinity really pride themselves in being great students and also playing a sport. And so I think there are some teams that do things a little bit differently in terms of study hall and academic support, but by and large, they will have access to all of the different services on campus, and that's the way most teams receive tutoring and support. If somebody needs someone for a specific subject and they're struggling in it, through the Dean of Students office, we can make those kinds of arrangements, but most of the time, you're going to have a TA in the class or a mentor or the writing center or the math center or other kind of study groups, TA sessions that will provide a very broad net of support for students here. I got to say, that's one of the things that I absolutely love about being a professor and an administrator here, is that our faculty take such pride in really mentoring students as they teach them, and that you don't get lost at Trinity. There are so many layers of mentoring that happen here, formal and informal ways, that it's really hard to get lost. There's so many people that are genuinely happy to help students, find their way and be successful here at Trinity.
We have pretty much tackled the questions in the Q&A, and I know we're getting pretty close to our time here. One question that I didn't see, but I know is pretty common, that I might throw at Amelia to start. what is the one piece of advice that you would give, maybe the best piece of advice you can think of that you would give to a new student at Trinity?
Yeah, I would say don't be afraid to talk to other students. I came from a really small town. I knew all of my friends since like kindergarten, and I was terrified of trying to make new friends. And something that sort of hit me after like the pre-orientation programs was that everybody was in the exact same shoes as I am in. Nobody else had friends here, even if they knew like one or two people. Everybody's looking for their people and their new community. So I I would consider myself a relatively shy person, but I made sure that at least once a day, if I passed someone, if I liked somebody's shoes in the dining hall, I'd be like, "Hey, you seem cool. Can I have your number?" And then I might not ever talk to them again, but the fact that I was making sure to put myself out there and just sort of, I joined like 20 clubs at the activities fair, only ended up sticking with like 5, but being able to, sort of find my community and not just be sitting in my dorm really scared of trying to talk to people, was the best thing I could have done, was put myself outside of my comfort zone. And I have found, communities and clubs that I absolutely love, as well as lifelong friends. So I know it is definitely really scary, but everybody else is in the same situation, and everybody else is really looking for friends too. So don't worry too much about being lonely during your first year. Oh, and I also, just a bit of practical advice, bring a fan, because the first year dorms aren't air conditioned and August is really hot here.
Well, I can throw in a piece of advice from a faculty member. Don't, as Amelia said, don't be afraid to talk to students. Well, don't be afraid to talk to your professors. We are here for a reason. We're all teaching at a place like Trinity College because we want to be able to interact with our students. I mean, there's nothing more rewarding than I am being asked to write lots of letters of recommendation right now. It's that time of year when students are applying for grad school or whatever's coming next. And some of these students that I'm writing letters of recommendation for were in this first year seminar 4 years ago when they were freshmen. And we've stayed connected. I know these students because I have taught them in 3 or 4 different courses. The kind of letter that a faculty member can write when they really, really know a student is so much different than when you're at a large school and a person, you ask a faculty member to write a letter and like, oh yeah, Susie was in my intro bio course and she got an A, because Susie was one of 200 people in the intro bio course. But at Trinity, the faculty teach the labs. We know you. We see you on the long walk. We see you in the cafeteria. So reach out and make sure that you make yourself known to the faculty. If you let us know that you want to have that relationship, the faculty will be happy to reciprocate and form that relationship with you.
It's absolutely true. I mean, it's my job joy of being here at Trinity is those relationships with students. I mean, not to spotlight myself, but to double down as an example, today was my birthday and I brought in a bunch of snacks and stuff to my classes because I wanted to celebrate with them, and they all sang happy birthday to me, and it was a great day. And I love those relationships with students. And then I got a handful of texts today on my birthday from students that have graduated a handful of years ago, that are still checking in and asking about how people are doing. And I sent my oldest daughter away to college this year, and I'm not sure she's having that same experience with her professors. And so I really love my workplace because of that.
And I just want to speak on behalf of the staff at Trinity. I recommend that everyone reach out to all the departments, not just my department, but registrars, student accounts, all of the librarians. We're so excited to help you. And I'm sure that your question is a question on a lot of students' minds. So don't even hesitate to ask it. You'll get so much more back than what you asked. And it's well worth your time, and that's why we're here. So ask away.
Well, again, happy birthday, Tennyson. Thanks everyone for joining us tonight. I really hope this was a valuable session for you. It means so much that you've taken time out of your busy schedules to hear more from our faculty, staff, and students who just can speak so in depth to the Trinity experience and really just how this institution has helped shape them. So please do reach out, connect with us. We know this is an especially difficult time to really make sure that you're feeling confident about where you're going to call home for the next 4 years. But know that there's an entire community. There's a community of people texting each other happy birthday. So please do engage. Check out more of our Welcome to the Coop events. There's an entire list of other resources and other opportunities, and so much happening on campus in this very tight-knit and supportive community. So again, please don't be strangers. Feel free to email our admissions team, to email any one of us, to set up a time to talk, to ask about who else we can connect you with throughout this process. So again, thank you so much. And of course, if you are interested in visiting campus, many of our slots are being filled quickly, but we are creating more opportunities to tour campus, specifically giving priority registration to admitted students. So again, stay connected with us, work with us. We want to help you feel confident about making this decision. And of course, stay safe out there, take care, and best of luck as you ultimately make your college selection.